welcome to episode 6 of Sassy Science.
Where science is sassy.
We're your hosts, Miss Hames
and Mrs. Green.
Today we're going to do something very important. We have a unit test on Friday the 11th. So today we're going to go through the study guide.
All right, this is a great time to pause the video, and go get your study guide, have it in front of you, have a really good sharpened pencil and or a pen, maybe even a highlighter if you wish. So pause us now, and we'll see you when you get back.
All right, we're going to go through each question and read through them, but again, remember you can pause it anytime you need to write the answers down. All right, Miss Green, why don't you get us started?
Okay, item number 1, what is a biome? A biome is a group of ecosystems with similar climates and similar organisms.
Number 2, what is an adaptation? I know you've written this definition down several times, and give an example. An adaptation is a characteristic of an organism that helps it survive in its environment. Some examples include hunting at night or hibernation.
All right. Item number 3. Pandas eat only one type of food, while rats eat a variety of foods. Which animal is likely to survive in a changing environment? Explain. Well, in this scenario, the rats would likely survive because they eat a variety of foods. They will be able to switch to another food source, while the pandas will die off if their food source is gone.
All right. Number 4, list 4 examples of physical adaptations of plants in a desert. First one we listed was root systems that go wide so they can absorb as much water as possible. 2, the leaves have a waxy coating to prevent water loss. Another example would be few or no leaves to prevent water loss. And then number 4 is just the ability to flourish or grow really well with little water.
Okay. Item number 5, list 3 examples of physical adaptations of plants in a grassland. Okay, number 1, root systems that go deep and wide to absorb as much water as possible. Number 2, plants regenerate or regrow quickly from roots after a fire. And number 3, long, narrow leaves to absorb the sun, but yet prevent water loss.
Number 6, what are the 2 internal structures that transport water and nutrients in plants? You guys should know this for sure. Xylem transports water from the roots up to the rest of the plant, and the phloem transports food, which is glucose or sugar, from the leaves down to the rest of the plant.
Okay, number 7, list 3 examples of physical or behavioral adaptations of animals in a desert. Example 1, a jackrabbit. They have really long ears to release excess heat. It can get really hot in the desert. Number 2, owls hunt at night when it's cooler. Number 3, camels have thick eyelashes to keep sand out of their eyes.
Number 8, list 3 examples of physical or behavioral adaptations of animals in the grassland. Number 1, buffalo have grinding teeth to chew tough grass. 2, birds migrate to find better sources of food. And 3, prairie dogs have lookouts to help keep them protected.
Okay, number 9, what's a carnivore? What's a herbivore? What's an omnivore? What's a producer? What's a consumer? I think you guys really understand these different concepts pretty well, but it's good to review. A carnivore eats meat only. A herbivore is a plant eater only. Omnivore eats both plants and meat. A producer, like a plant, makes its own food. And a consumer, like humans or animals, must eat to obtain energy.
Number 10, you sure should know this one. What is the energy transformation that occurs during photosynthesis? Radiant energy is transformed into chemical energy.
Okay, number 11. Ooh, I know this is an easy one for y'all at this point. What's the original source of energy in all food webs? The sun.
Yay. 12. When dead plants and animals or biomass decompose, what happens to the matter that it's made of? Well, the matter is broken down into smaller compounds by decomposers, and the nutrients like carbon and nitrogen are returned to the soil or the air?
Okay, number 13, food web. Which population will die if all the shrubs and trees die? I believe there's a diagram that goes with this question on your copy. And the correct answer would be the deer, because deer in this ecosystem apparently only eat shrubs and trees. They would not have any other food if their food source was eliminated or gone.
And the second question for number 13 says, is there a way that this population could avoid death? And the answer is yes. If the deer were to eat a bigger variety of food, like also grass, they would be able to live. So the more food sources, the better the chance of survival.
Okay, 13C. Which population will increase or grow larger if all the shrews die? And the shrew was the mousy-looking animal that we may have looked at an example of. And the answer is grasshoppers, because there will not be as many organisms eating them.
14, how are essential biochemical elements like nitrogen and carbon reused by plants? Hint, think soil. Well, the nitrogen and carbon, through carbon dioxide, are released when decomposition, remember those decomposers, of plants and animals occurs, and plants are able to pick up the nutrients through their roots and through the air.
Okay, number 15, define weathering and describe a situation where it might occur in the desert or grassland. First of all, weathering is when rocks are broken down into smaller pieces or maybe scratched at, abraded by something else. And an example is when animals burrow or dig underground, they could scratch or break the rocks apart.
16, define erosion and describe a situation where it might occur in the desert or grassland. Erosion is when rocks or sediment are moved to a new place. An example might be when the wind blows and carries sand or soil because it's not held in place by vegetation. If there's not plants growing, then there's nothing to hold the soil in place and the wind can just blow it away.
Number 17, how might a drought or lack of rainfall for a long period of time cause erosion? Well, the plants can die from the lack of water in the drought, and then the roots no longer hold the soil in place, like Ms. Hames mentioned, and so as a result, the wind or water moves the soil through the action called erosion.
Whoops, I made a mistake there. It's just number 18, not 185. Whoops. Define deposition and describe a situation where it might occur in the desert or grassland. Deposition is like making a deposit when rocks or sediment are carried and set down or deposited someplace else. A desert example would be wind picks up sand and deposits it into sand dunes. And a grassland example is floods pick up soil and deposits it into a floodplain.
Okay, number 20. What is a plant's response to gravity called? Draw a picture. And we've got some different examples. Geotropism, geo is the prefix for earth. The roots will always grow toward the center of earth, the roots. And then the stems will always grow away from the center of earth, geotropism.
All right. I accidentally have this one in there twice. All right, 21. Why do we have scientific models? Well, models make it easier to study and to understand a system or a process. And sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're larger, depending on what we're studying.
Let's see, 22. Draw the following graphs. This is a circle graph, and it compares parts of a whole. And in this example, who ate my kid's Easter candy? And we've got different examples of who possibly ate the candy represented by different colors.
The next graph is a data table, and it displays information with rows. There's rows and then columns. And so if you have information and you need to have a chart like that, it is called a data table.
Okay, this is a bar graph, one of my favorites. This is to compare information across different categories.
And then the last one we're going to have you draw is a double line graph. It's just like it sounds. It's a line graph twice, where you have two different lines. So you're comparing changes over time, but of two different things. These are the time measurements, and these are the amount of something, whatever it is. And so you've got two different things that you're measuring. All right, and our last question.
Why do seagulls live near the sea, Miss Hames?
Well, seagulls live near the sea because if they lived near the bay, they would be bagels. Get your study guide done. Bye.